What's going on, guys? 8-Bit Glitch 79 here, and I'm here to do an episode regarding reproductions and bootleg carts. But before I do that, I figured I'd do a quick pickup because I bought a couple real expensive titles for my collection, a Super Nintendo and an NES title. First one I got, which I can't believe I did this, Dracula X Castlevania for the Super Nintendo. And I got, you probably guessed it, Little Samson for the NES. Now, I can't believe I spent all this money. I'm probably going to start my kids' college fund over, but I'm so glad to have this title, especially in the collection, because I would never find this in the wild. And it just... Oh, what the f... Alright, guys, I hope you enjoyed that Oscar-winning performance I did in the intro. These obviously aren't real. These are, as the title of the video says, they're reproductions, fakes. So I bought them online, $6 a piece, just for the purpose of this video, and hey, to play them too, I guess. So what we're gonna do is go over to the table. We'll open these up. We'll grab a couple real games, and we'll compare them, and you can see the differences and what to look out for when looking at real expensive games and whether you're getting screwed or not. All right, well, let's go. Okay, guys. So I thought the first one we'd look at is the Super Nintendo game here. Let me get it focused here. So this is the reproduction of Castlevania Dracula X. We'll take a quick look at it here. You can feel, it's hard because it's a video, but the plastic feels a lot different than a real cart. You can even hear it. I'll get a real, here's a real game here. And you can hear it's a lot thicker plastic. This feels a little cheap. Another thing here is you can take a look at how well the label goes against the edge, whereas here you can see a lot of spacing on this side there. The labels on real carts should be pretty tight to the edges. That might be hard to tell. Another difference you can tell from here is on the real cart, you got these real game bit screws here, metal. And on this one, they're plastic, because you'll see in a second that they're not even real. They're just for show. I mean, not to say that there would be fake carts that would have metal screws, but the likelihood of that is not very much. It would probably be real screws and not the game bit screws. The back of them here, you can see there's a label here, and this one is smooth with not even an embossed lettering. It's completely smooth here. It's smooth here, where here it says Nintendo. Here there is no Nintendo on it. I'll open those up in a second. Another thing I wanted to point out is you can see the front here. They're the same like shape. There's another real cart. You can see it's different, but that's okay. Super Nintendo's came in kind of two shapes, if you would. It would have a big cutout like this or just a line like that. That's okay. If you see a cart like that versus this, that doesn't mean it's fake. Some carts came like that. But again, here's another real one. The metal game bit screws, the label on the back, the word Nintendo there. So that's that. So we'll open those up in a minute. I wanted to go through and kind of just go through both examples on the outside before we look at inside. So here is the Little Samson, another reproduction fake cart. Again, it's that kind of fake feel. Plastic feels thinner. This is not the real kind of label you'll see in a second. And then you'll see here that there's a third tab, and there is no third tab on a real NES cart. It's also only two screws, one here and one here, and they're real screws. Whereas, and on real Nintendo, which I'll grab one here. Hold on, let me grab it. doesn't have that third tab here. It's only 2 tab, and it's 3 screws, and again it's the game bit screws, not real screws. And then you can see that label. See, this label doesn't even say anything of the same. It's totally got more writing on it and everything. It's completely different. The labels again are not aligned very well. It's a very good label, don't get me wrong. It looks really good. It's got the sheen and everything, but it doesn't align quite right. Now here's another one. This is an older, when NES games first came out, they might not have tabs because they came out with 5 screws, 4 in each corner, 1 in the center, and these are kind of like real screws. They're not the game bit. This is called a 5 screw variant. This is when games first came out. Earlier titles were like that, but again, you got the real label and everything, and no tabs. So that's a legit cart. Here's an example. This is a reproduction of a PAL/Famicom game that never was released in America, but they reproduced it so that you can play it on an American NES. I bought this purposely knowing that, but you can see here, this one looks a little bit more real. It's got the 3 screws, but again, they're real screws, not the game bits, and the 2 tabs. But it does feel a little fake, and that the label is completely not the same, as you can see here. It's black, and again, it's got a nice label, but it's not a real cart. It's a reproduction of a cart game that never existed in America. And then here you've got, I bought this from Russ Lyman when I last met him at the conference I went to. This is a 150 games in one cart. There's 150 NES games on this one cart. Again, fake label, 3 real screws, 2 tabs though. But you know, this was made, it's a fake, but not necessarily a fake. It's just a bootleg cart with a bunch of ROMs on it. Alright, so we're going to cut away. I'm going to do all the unscrewing off camera so you don't have to see it. Before I do that, I will explain that to get those game bit screws out, you need to have a game bit screwdriver. You can get these on Amazon, eBay, wherever. Maybe even your local retro game store would have some. And I recommend having these, especially if you're going to go buy some expensive games from somebody, and open the cart up there before you buy it to make sure. So it's very handy to have, and it's good to have for opening and cleaning the carts as well. So I'm going to cut to some open carts and I'll show you the boards. Okay guys, I just did all the taking out of the screws off camera because you don't want to sit here and watch me do that. You know how to unscrew something. The fake cart is a little hard to get open because it's part 2 screws, but then also kind of snaps in with some tabs, and then the 2 tabs. So felt like I was going to break it at one point, but it was hard to get open. So that's another good sign, because it should be very easy to open up the cart if it's real. So here on the right is the real cart, Super Mario Brothers 3 here, and over here is the little Samson that I took out. So now we're going to take a look. Now the size of the board might change depending on the game. It might not be this big, it might be bigger, it might be smaller. That's not what's really that important. What's important is, for one, if it's not a green cart PCB board, then it's fake. They should be green, and you should see, oh, my lighting is bad here, but right there, focus, you can see Nintendo and the date right there, and then the NES and ROM number there. If it's real, it'll have that. Fake carts don't have that Nintendo logo on it. So if you don't see Nintendo on the board, then it is not legit. The chips are going to vary depending on the type of game and how big it is and what's required of it. So you can always Google a game, you could type in Super Mario Brothers 3 NES PCB board, and you'll find tons of pictures that you could do a compare with if you're really questioning that. These ones, the pins really need to be cleaned, but that'll be another video. So that's the key, is the word Nintendo in the gold there on the board. The board is green, and that's pretty much how you can tell. Also, this one doesn't have battery saves like Zelda, but if you know it's a game that has battery saves and there's no battery, that's a good chance it's not legit either. There's only one way to put those back. They only fit one way, so you know you're getting it right. So let's look at this one. Now here's a good key, because I've opened this before. It came out easier that time, but this is really a tight fit in there. So here you can see the color seems almost right, but there is no Nintendo on this board at all. Nothing. So that's how right away you know that it's not a legit game. It works, it's really the game, but it's not an original. And I'm not going to do this on camera, but you can see it's very hard for me to get this in here. I'm going to have to do that off camera. But let's see, we'll open up another fake cart and take a look. Okay guys, so here we go. Here's the real Super Mario Brothers 3 that we were just looking at. Here's that 150 games in one cart, multi-cart, and here's the Ghostbusters 2 bootleg. So you can see right away which ones are the fake ones. I mean, look, they're blue, these two. So that's right away, big indicator. We'll just look at one of these. So this one here, you can see it's got a battery in it for games that save and 150, which is nice, that's good. But you can see that says Mine Kids. There's no Nintendo on this, and it's not even green. So right away the color is a color. You don't even have to look anymore at it to know that it's fake. But that's that one. Here, put that back in. I'll fiddle with it later. We'll look at this one real quick. This one's got the battery holder, but no battery in it because the game doesn't save with battery. It's a password game. But that's a Mine Kids as well board. No Nintendo on that. A lot cleaner pins than my Super Mario Brothers 3. My Super Mario Brothers 3 needs a cleaning. Alright, so that's the Nintendo. Let's take a look at the Super Nintendo now. Okay guys, now we're going to look at the Super Nintendo. I didn't unscrew this one yet because, again, those aren't real screws. They're just for looks. So I figured I'd do this on camera so you can see. If you can do this with a Super Nintendo game, let's see, to get it open. Let's see, I don't want to snap it. Then that's not a real Super Nintendo game. So right away, you can see we got the real one on the right. It's the Mario game, the Mario letters. And over here, we got the fake. So right away, you can see a big difference in the color. It's a different kind of green in it. And again, the real one, you should see right there, Nintendo, 1992 Nintendo on the board. You don't see Nintendo on the board, it is not legit. Again, the size of the board is going to change, depends on the game, you know, how much data the game takes and such. So here, this has a battery holder, but the game doesn't use a battery. So it's just a generic board they use for all their bootlegs. So if it needs a battery, it's got it. If not, sorry about the focusing here. You can see there's some Japanese, Chinese, whatever writing on here. and no Nintendo on here. I don't even see anything other than that Chinese, or it could be Japanese. I don't know my difference, but or Korean, who knows? But that's all I see is this TY. Maybe that's the brand. I'm not sure, but you can see right away that is not legit. The only other thing I forgot to mention about the Nintendo games is also on this back label. This is the real one. I don't know if it'll pick up in the camera, but there's a little like number right here. It's the kind of embossed into the label in the cart. Fake games won't have that. That's another key component to that. I don't know, Super Nintendo's got that as well. I can't remember. Yes, they do. It's right up in here. Hard to see through the camera. It's number. This one's a 22. It's right there. Probably hard to see it. Sorry about that. But anyways, that's pretty much a quick overview of fake carts versus real carts. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'm sure I probably missed some subject that people will hit me back at, which is cool. We're all here to learn. The retro community, the video game community, we help each other out. You know, look out for each other. That's my motto. You know, we're all in this for the love of video games. So let's all be courteous to each other and help each other out. So if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you get all notifications for any future videos. And please don't be afraid to comment down below. Let's get conversations going about the subject. Tell me any stories of any time you've come across a fake in your travels, if that's ever happened, or anything like that. That would be very interesting to know. All right? Well, have a great one. Until next time.